U.S. President Donald Trump says no American lives were harmed in Iran's missile attacks on 2 U.S. military bases in Iraq. Iran says the missile attacks was in retaliation for the killing in a U.S. drone strike of Iranian military commander General Qasem Soleimani. While announcing new economic sanctions on Iran, the president noted that his administration is reviewing other options to respond to the missile strike.
As we continue to evaluate options in response to Iranian aggression, the United States will immediately impose additional punishing economic sanctions on the Iranian regime. These powerful sanctions will remain until Iran changes its behavior. Iran must abandon its nuclear ambitions and end its support for terrorism. The time has come for the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Russia, and China to recognize this reality. They must now break away from the remnants of the Iran deal, or JCPOA. And we must all work together toward making a deal with Iran that makes the world a safer and more peaceful place.
Ukrainians have been laying flowers at Kiev International Airport in memory of victims of the plane crash in Iran. All 176 people were aboard the flight when it crashed shortly after takeoff from an airport in Tehran. Here's Simon Pusey with more international stories with Around the World in 5.
Good evening from the Channel's newsroom here in London. A Ukraine Boeing 737 plane carrying 176 people has crashed in Iran, with officials saying there is no chance of finding any survivors. The flight to Kiev went down after taking off from Tehran just after 6 a.m. local time. The majority of passengers were from Iran and Canada. Iranian media blamed technical problems and quoted an aviation expert who said no emergency had been declared. Debris and engine parts from the plane were found some 10 kilometers from the airport, and rescue workers with face masks searched the wreckage for a victim. The Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison has visited the popular holiday destination of Kangaroo Island to reassure tourists that the country remains open for business. Around 1/3 of the island has been burned by recent bushfires, with more than 10.3 million hectares being engulfed by flames across the country in total. That's an area the size of South Korea. Morrison said that despite the fires, tourists should not cancel their holiday plans. He also thanked the international community for their support.
The Polish Prime Minister last night, the Japanese Prime Minister, the European Council President, the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea. It was a long list of calls that were made last night, the President of Sri Lanka, and the support that Australians are receiving from around the world is just very heartwarming.
The Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab has said it was responsible for a bomb blast in Somalia's capital Mogadishu that authorities said had killed at least 3 people. The city's ambulance service said 11 people had been wounded in the attack, including 3 women. It comes days after the group also claimed responsibility for a bomb attack that killed at least 90 people in the capital. Russian President Vladimir Putin has met his Syrian counterpart Bashar al-Assad in Damascus on his second trip to Syria since Moscow intervened in the country's civil war. The pair visited the Umayyad Mosque and the Mary Amaya Church in Old Damascus, where Putin met the Greek Orthodox Patriarch John X Yazagi and presented him with an icon of the Virgin Mary. The visit comes at a time of heightened regional tensions. Assad's other main military ally, Iran, has said it will retaliate against the United States for the killing of the general in the drone strike. The former Nissan boss Carlos Ghosn has made his first appearance since skipping bail in Japan and fleeing to Lebanon, claiming he fled injustice and persecution. In November last year, Mr. Ghosn was arrested in Japan on charges of financial misconduct, including improperly reporting his compensation. Earlier, he held a press conference and criticised the Japanese judicial system, claiming the allegations against him were untrue.
I'm not here to talk about how I managed to leave Japan and to pronounce clearly and emphatically something that was interpreted as a heresy in the Japanese judicial system. These allegations are untrue, and I should have never been arrested in the first place.
And finally, Sir Elton John has pledged $1 million to the relief effort in Australia to help end the bushfire crisis.
I will be pledging $1 million.
The singer made the announcement while on stage in Sydney, telling the audience they should be in awe of the work that the firefighters are doing.
This is a magnificent country that I've been coming through 1971. I love it here so much. To see what is happening here breaks my heart. And so we have to come together and we have to fight.
And that's your international news around the world in 5.
A worthy cause indeed. Many thanks, Simon. Now let's find out what's happening in the world of sports. Olumide is standing.
Thank you, Belinda. Hello and welcome to Sports News. Ibrahim Olawiyi scored twice as struggling Rangers International defeated Oriental neighbours FC Ifeanyi 3-1 in one of the games of the matchday 13 of the Nigeria Professional Football League played this evening at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium in Enugu. Warri Wolves edged past Heartland 1-0, courtesy of first strike from one of their players. Katsina United defeated leaders Plateau United 1-0, with Joseph Atule scoring the only goal. Obong Friday scored his first goal for Akwa United this season in their 1-0 win over Wiki Tourist. Dakada suffered their first defeat on the road after losing 1-0 to MFM at the Agege Stadium in Lagos. Lobi Stars condemned Adamawa United to their third home loss, while Sunshine Stars and Rivers United also earned victories. Paulo Del Pino has been elected president of Syria, ending more than a month of emergency leadership for a league struggling with fan racism and divided over the assignment of TV rights. Del Pino received 12 votes, one more than the necessary 11 from the 20-team Italian league. Gaetano Michichi, who resigned as president in November 2019, following an investigation into his 2018 election, was next with votes, despite saying he had no interest in returning to the job. Since Michichi's resignation, the league had two emergency leaders, Mario Cicala and Giancarlo Abet. In tennis, world number 1 Rafael Nadal won a battle of attrition against fellow left-hander Yoshihito Nishioka of Japan 7-6, 6-4 to seal Spain's spot in the final 8 of the inaugural ATP Cup in Perth. Nadal had to twice fight back from a breakdown against the Japanese in the opening set before winning the tiebreaker, while the Spaniard broke his opponent's serve to go up 5-4 in the second before holding serve for victory. After the win, Nadal is excited about being voted to win the Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award. And that's it on Sports News. Melinda is back now with the conclusion of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Olumide. And the main news again. The Supreme Court today affirmed the elections of Governors Ikpeazu, Ishaku, Okowa, and Bello in the March 9th governorship polls in Abia, Taraba, Delta, and Niger states. The judges of the Apex Court unanimously upheld their elections. Also today, the Nigerian Air Force took its anti-terror campaign to Kusuma on the fringes of the Lake Chad, where it destroyed ISWAP structures and vowed to sustain campaign in the northeast. And that's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami on behalf of the team. Good night.